Just check to make sure we are live on Facebook. All right. Let's see if it works. Okay. Okay, we are live on Facebook. So we will proceed with class. Okay, so now we'll have our little kirtan before class. 1 second. Okay. Tonight we will sing Jeev Jago to wake up all you sleeping souls. Jeev Jago, Jeev Jago, Gorachanda Bore, Kotanidraya Maya, Pisachira Kole, Majiba Madhya se Samsara Bitare Mulya Rohile to me Avidya Rabahu Re Tomare Loite Ami Hoinu Avatara Ami Bina Bandhuara Keacheto Mara Ene Jayos Shoni Maya Nasiba Lagi Harinama mantra la to me magi Makativid no the Prabhu Charane Kriya Say Harinama mantra Loyla mangi ya Jeev Jago Jeev Jago Gorachanda Bole Kotanidraya Maya Pisachira Kole Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Haribo, 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 Jai Gauri, Haribo, Haribo, Jai Om Vishnupad, Paramahamsa, Acharya, also Teta, Satashi, Shimad, His Divine Grace, Abhaya Charanada Bhaktivedanta Goswami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, ISKCON Founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya, Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shidwaita Garadha, Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radhakrishna Gopi Gopinath, Shyam Kunda, Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavanam Ki Jai, Mathuram Ki Jai, Jagannath Swami Ki Jai, Yamunamai Ki Jai, Shrimati Lassi Devi Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakta, Vrindi Ki Jai, Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol. All glory is the assembled devotees, all glory is the assembled devotees, all glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is to Shri Guru and Gauranga, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pachari Nira Shesha Shunyavadi Paschacha Deja Tarini. So, Om Ganata Miranda Shah Gananjana Shilakaya Chakshur Meditam Yena Tasmai Shigurvena Maha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my divine spiritual masters, divine grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who so kindly opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge while I was blinded in the darkness of ignorance. So we're going to continue with our study of the Sri Caitanya Caritamrta, Madhya Lila, Chapter 1, which contains the summary of the Lord's later pastimes. So we are very, very blessed to be able to recite this. This is actually the high point of my day. The rest of the day, it's GBC meetings. The rest of the day, it's getting aggravated with management. The rest of the day, it's service to Krishna of various types. But at this particular time of the day, It's the time for nectar. Of course, I do enjoy the other parts of the day because I'm serving Krishna, but this is actually very special nectar. Because by remembering Krishna, by remembering Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one gets Krishna Shakti, one gets actual spiritual potency. Okay, so let us go and share the screen, if that's all right. So, Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Here we go. So, let's see, just to reiterate what we were going through yesterday. Oh, yeah. Yesterday we told the story of Shakshi Gopal. The word Shakshi means witness, where Gopal, the deity, walked all the way across India to witness a marriage promise. And we told the story. Anyway, we told so many stories. If any of you are interested, you can listen to yesterday's class. It is on YouTube. YouTube. Under Bir Krishna Goswami. And you can actually see it. It was an interesting story. Okay, let's go. Krudahannaika Gela Jagannatha Dekite Dekiya Murchitahana Odila Bhumite. After his sannyas rod was broken by Nityananda Prabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu apparently became very angry and left his company to travel alone to the Jagannath temple. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu entered the Jagannath temple and saw Lord Jagannath, he immediately lost his senses and fell down on the ground. So, several things I have to explain here. Why did Lord Nityananda break his sannyas staff? And so there's several different reasons. One is that he had a single sannyas rod, because Lord Chaitanya ostensibly took ekadanda sannyas. Now, if you don't know what ekadanda, danda means like a stick. So when we say danda bats, that means you become like a stick and fall on the ground. So ekadanda means one stick. But the Vaishnavas, they are Dandi sannyasis. That means they have 3 sticks. Actually, there's 4 sticks. But 3 sticks, and the 4th stick represents the jiva soul. And the 3 sticks, before the 4th sticks, represents the body, mind, and words. So one is dedicating his whole life to serving the Lord with body, mind, and words. So one may ask, well, why can't women also take Tridandi sannyas? Internally, yes, because the real essence of Tridandi sannyas is one's body, mind, and words dedicated to the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, wholly and solely. And one can do that. You don't need the external signs. The external signs are simply, let's say, a preaching tool, so people respect you. But they really have nothing to do with sannyas. It's just external. Just like one of my godbrothers told me one time. This is about 25 years ago. We were in Mayapur. And he said, he went to the kirtan in Mayapur. He said, now I understand why I have to carry a danda, because everyone just treated me like an ordinary person when I didn't have the danda, and they were just pushing me. So that's the reason for carrying a danda, so everyone won't push you. However, if you go to Vrindavan and try to see Radha Shyam Sundar, even if you have a danda, all the ladies will push you anyway. And even Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was trying to see Lord Jagannath standing by the Garuda Stamba, a lady stepped on top of him. because this is the enthusiasm of the devotees. Anyway, so generally a Vaishnava has a tree danda sannyas rod, which is 4 dandas, as we explained before, 4 sticks. But anyway, but there's 3 vertical sticks and like a half moon or a quarter moon of a 4th stick, which is the jiva soul. So anyway, so Lord Chaitanya had 1 danda because he had taken sannyas in the Ekadanda sannyas sampradaya of Keshava Bharti, the Bharti sampradaya. So Lord Nityananda broke the danda, so there were 3 parts. And then he threw them into the river. Because he also understood that Lord Chaitanya was transcendental to sannyas. Another point about sannyasis is that they carry the danda for a certain number of years, and after that, when they are paramahamsas, they don't carry the danda anymore. Or after a few number of years, they don't carry the danda anymore. Or when they don't want people to respect them, they don't carry the danda. I remember there was one devotee, one lady, she said, many years ago, it must have been like 40 years ago, not about me, but she said about someone else, that when she sees the danda, she thinks it's so ecstatic. Well, anyway, and when you get older, you don't have to carry the danda. Prabhupada did not carry the danda when he was quite old, except for some pictures and some circumstance where it was helpful for preaching. For example, when I go to South India, where the danda is required. Actually, I left my danda in South India. I have a danda here too, which I'll show you. Actually, I could show you the danda. That's interesting. For those of you who are interested in seeing what a danda is, here we go. See? This is called a Sanyastanda. There's 3 sticks down here, and there's an extra stick here which represents the jiva soul. So sannyasi generally holds this, and it gives him some authority. Really interesting. But, when you get to be a certain age, I guess it gets a little heavy to carry. Or it's not practical to carry when you travel. And Prabhupada didn't always take one with him. Although Prabhupada had his young sannyasis, always used one. So anyway, so this danda was broken by Lord Nityananda and thrown into the Ganges, and Lord Chaitanya said, "Where's my danda?" And Lord Nityananda said, "I made a mistake, I fell on it." Because he wasn't telling the truth. And then Lord Chaitanya got very angry, and he just walked ahead by himself, entered into the Jagannath temple, and exhibited the symptoms of the highest symptoms of love of God, beyond all the Babas that we talk about. Basically, Vyabhachari Baba, Sanchari Baba. And he basically lost consciousness. And when he lost consciousness, guess what happened? Can anyone guess what happened? When he lost consciousness? Well, everyone thought that we talked about this before, that this sannyasi had apparently died or left his body. Hold on a second. So many messages. Okay. So he apparently had left his body, but Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya came with a little swab of cotton, put it next to his nose. He saw that he was still alive, brought him out of the temple, and the devotees came eventually and chanted the holy names. The Lord Chaitanya came back to external consciousness, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was happy to be with the devotees. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said, next time you go to the temple, someone has to go with you. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that he'll always stay some distance away from the deities, which he generally did because he would stand at the Garuda Stamba rather than going very close to the deities. Anyway, we're going to hear the story. Sarvabhauma Lanagela Apana Bhavanta Tritiya Prahare Prabhura Haila Chaitana. After Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw Lord Jagannath in the temple and fell down unconscious, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya took him to his home. The Lord remained unconscious until the afternoon, when he finally regained consciousness, when they chanted the holy names into his ear. Nityananda Jagadananda Namadara Makunda Pachayasimi Lisabe Paila Ananda. The Lord had left Nityananda's company, had gone alone to the Jagannath temple, but later Nityananda, Jagadananda, Damodar, and Mukunda came to see him, and after seeing him, they were very pleased. Tabe Sabrabome Prabhu Prasada Karila Apana Yashvaramurti Tanre Dekaila. After this incident, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bestowed his mercy upon Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya by showing him his original form as the Lord. We talked about this story before. Tabeta Karila Prabhu Dakshinagamana Kurmakshetre Kaila Vasudeva Vimochana. After bestowing mercy upon Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, the Lord started for South India. When he came to Kurmakshetra, he delivered a person named Vasudeva. Vasudeva was a leper, and he cured his leprosy. So what is Kurmakshetra? Kurma means tortoise. Kshetra means a place. Okay. Like Kshetragya means the knower of the place. And in the Bhagavad Gita, that word Kshetragya refers to the knower of the body, which is the Lord and the living entity. And the Lord is the knower of all the bodies. And just like you have Kurukshetra, that means the place of Kuru, pilgrimage, Dharmakshetra, Kurukshetra, Samaveti, Yutsavaha, Mandapas, Pandavas, Chaivat, Kimakurvata, Sanjaya. Allergies today. Alright, so Kurmakshetra is the place of the tortoise, Kurma, a tortoise incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord has incarnations in every species of life. And it's just south of Jagannath Puri. And I've been there many times. Beautiful place. There's actually a whole garden where they raise tortoises, and there's a self-manifested deity of Kurma there. Very ancient temple. And then, these are the places we visited with our pilgrimage, or in our pilgrimage with all the devotees. Jyada Nasinghe Kaila Nasinga Stavana Pate Pate Grame Grame Nama Pravartana. After visiting Kurmakshetra, the Lord visited the South Indian temple of Jayada Nrsimha and offered prayers to Lord Nrsimhadev. On his way, he introduced the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra in every village. Now, let's talk about Andhra Pradesh. And there's many, many temples to Lord Nrsimhadev. The most prominent are Singachala and Mangogiri and Ahobalam. Those are the three most prominent. So Mangogiri is on a mountain, and Mangogiri is where Lord Nrsimhadev is the self-manifested deity of Lord Nrsimhadev, where Lord Nrsimhadev's mouth is actually part of the mountain. And they pour sugarcane juice, into this mouth, and half of whatever they pour stays in and half comes out. And what comes out is the remnant. That's Mangogiri. And Singhachalam, there's a deity of Varaha Nrsimha, who was covered with sandalwood pulp through most of the year. And he looks like a Shiva Linga. I mean, not the deity looks like a Shiva Linga, but when you see him, you just see the sandalwood pulp on the outside, so it looks like a Shiva Linga. So the reason he's covered with sandalwood pulp is, as Prabhupada describes, is to cool him down, because Lord Nrsimhadev, or Varaha Nrsimha, is very angry at the demons, so you want to have him to have a cool head. So that's Singhachalam. Of course, we've been there. And then Ahobalam commemorates the place where Lord Nrsimhadev appeared. There's Nava Nrsimha deities. There's 9 main Nrsimhadev deities there in different moods, who exhibit different moods. There's Ugra Nrsimha, the angry Nrsimha. There's Shanta Nrsimha, peaceful Nrsimha. There's Yoga Nrsimha, who's sitting in a yoga position and doing yoga practices. And so that's an Ahobalam. And one of the most prominent features of Ahobalam, and Ahobalam is really off the beaten track. You have to actually take a bus, or several buses to get there, or you have to have your own car. One of the prominent features of Ahobalam is that there's something called the Ugra Stamba. Stamba means like a big pillar. So Ugra means horrible. So it commemorates the pastime of Lord Nrsingadev splitting the pillar and killing the demon Hiranyakashipu. And so many devotees, they climb all the way to the top of this Ugra Stamba, which is very, very high and very, very dangerous. It's a long climb, and there's snakes there, and there's waterfalls. You've got to go through all sorts of different stuff to get to the top. Very, very ancient temple. So anyway, in Andhra Pradesh, there's many temples dedicated. That's a state in India, in case you don't know. There's many temples dedicated to Lord Nrsingadev. And in addition, here's another feature of Andhra Pradesh. When you enter many of the villages in Andhra Pradesh, they will have a very large deity or statue of Hanumanji. Very large, like 50 feet, 100 feet tall, at the entrance to the village, because Hanuman is the great monkey or Kimpurusha warrior who served Lord Ramchandra. Many, many adventures we had in Andhra Pradesh. The people in Andhra Pradesh are just very sweet, very Brahminical, and all the educated people there speak English. So it's very easy to communicate. A very wonderful time, and one day we will show everybody the pictures of our voyage there. Maybe we should show the pictures. Should I? I don't know if they're readily accessible right now. Hold on, let me just look. Might be interesting, just like as a little interlude. Hold on a second. Let me see. It'll just take 1 second. If I can't find it in 1 second, I will not bother you with this anymore. Hold on. South India. South India. No, I cannot find it right now. Sorry about that. That's strange. That is very strange. South India. South Indian tour. Here it is. I knew by my transcendental mercy we could find these things. Hold on a second. Well, the picture's on there. No, that's only the application to join the South Indian tour. Forget it. Okay, some other day we'll show pictures, maybe even tomorrow. Let's go back to our screen sharing. Okay, next we get to the Godavari. Godavari Tirabhane Vrindavana Brahma Ramananda Raya Saha Dahani Milana. Once the Lord mistook the forest and the bank of the river Godavari to be Vrindavana. In that place he happened to meet Ramananda Roy. So there's that whole story when he met Ramananda Roy is considered to be an incarnation of Vishaka and also Arjuna. And Ramananda Roy was the governor of Madras, what you call Chennai, working under the king of Puri, because the kingdom of Jagannath Puri was extended quite far at that particular point. And when Lord Caitanya met Ramananda Roy, even though Ramananda Roy was considered a Shudra by caste, he and Ramananda Roy embraced, and they had this wonderful discussion called the Ramananda Samvada, in which the highest aspects of the Lord's pastimes, and that is Krishna's pastimes, were manifested or talked about. So one day we'll talk about that, the Ramananda Samvada. Okay, Trimala Tripadi Stana Kaila Darashana Sarvatra Karila Krishna Nama Pracharana. He visited the place known as Tirumala and Tirupati, where he extensively preached the chanting of the Lord's holy name. This holy place is situated on the district of Tanjore, Chittor, South India. The temple of Tirupati is situated on the valley of Venkatachala and contains the deity of Lord Ramchandra. On top of Venkatachala is the famous temple of Balaji. So there's the village of Tirupati, and on top of Venkatachala it's called Tirumala. That's something. That's the top of the hill. Bottom of the hill is Tirupati. And we have a beautiful ISKCON temple in Tirupati. An amazing ISKCON temple. I should show you the picture of it. That I can do rather easily. Let's see. ISKCON temple. Temple Tirupati. No. Anyway, forget about that right now. Some other time we'll go do our South Indian tour. Maybe tomorrow. We should do the South Indian tour so you can see these places. So, there's the deity of Balaji. Prabhupada said that Balaji means Krishna as a little boy. And Balaji is worshipped with great awe and reverence and great opulence. And the story of Balaji is as follows. It's a long story, but I'm going to tell it as quickly as possible. Once upon a time, as all stories go, Lord Vishnu was in the spiritual world with Lakshmi. And there happened to be a great sage whose name was Bhrigu Muni, who was actually testing all the different primary personalities in the universe to see who was the supreme personality of Godhead. So basically he tested the three main great personalities who are called the Guna avatars, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. So we went to Lord Brahma, tested him by basically not paying proper respects. Lord Brahma got angry, but really controlled his anger to a certain extent. So because Lord Brahma got angry to a certain extent, Bhrigu Muni understood that Lord Brahma was not the Supreme Lord. He wasn't in the complete transcendental mode of goodness. Then he went to Lord Shiva, insulted him, and Lord Shiva got very angry, but Lord Shiva was kept back from destroying Bhrigu Muni by his wife, Durga. And so, in that way, Bhrigu Muni understood he's not on the topmost platform. Then he went to Lord Vishnu, and he kicked Lord Vishnu. And Lord Vishnu was very humble about it, in the mode of transcendental goodness, apologized for having a hard chest. But Lakshmi, his consort, was very angry because she resides in the Kastubhamani, on the chest of Lord Vishnu. So she got super angry, even though Lord Vishnu apologized, but she was angry that Lord Vishnu apologized to Bhrigu Muni for having a hard chest. And even though Lord Vishnu implored her, she left Lord Vishnu. This is a pastime. And she went down to the earth planet. And Lord Vishnu went down to the earth planet to look for her, because when Lord Vishnu, their pastime, because Lord Vishnu actually has unlimited Lakshmis, Lakshmi Sahasra Sata, Sambrahma, Savyamanam. So anyway, he went down to the earth planet to look for Lakshmi, thinking, now I'm poor, I don't have Lakshmi. Lakshmi is another name for money. So he was looking all over the earth planet, and he found another girl that he fell in love with. And what happened is they didn't have any money to get married to her, or a place to live afterwards. So he had to borrow money from the demigod Kuvera, who is the treasurer of the demigods. So he borrowed some money, and then he had to borrow a place, or use the place of Lord Baraha. Okay, very nice. Then he gets married to this beautiful girl. And I'll tell you who that beautiful girl was in a second. Anyway, I guess I should tell you now who that beautiful girl was. That beautiful girl was the Maya Sita, who took the place of the real Sita when there was the kidnapping of supposed Sita or Maya Sita during the Ramayan pastimes. And so this Maya Sita actually fell in love with Lord Ram, wanted to get married to him, but Lord Ram had a vow only to marry one wife in that particular pastime. So he said, later on, you get a chance to marry me. And so this is the chance when Lord Vishnu was looking for Lakshmi. So he marries this girl who was actually Bhudevi, Maya Sita. And they have this big marriage, borrowing the money, borrowing the land. And they're very happy, getting ready to go on their honeymoon. And as they were getting ready to go on their honeymoon, who did they run into? But the actual Lakshmi. Oh my God. And the actual Lakshmi says, what are you doing with this other girl? And the newly married girl, Bhudevi, says, he's my husband. And the two girls start to go at each other. This transcendental envy, not material envy. This is a pastime. So they start, he's my husband, he's my husband. Meantime, the husband, Lord Narayan, he's going, oh my God, oh my God, he's God. What have I gotten myself into? Thinking like that, he decides, I gotta get out of here. And so he gets out of here, he transforms himself into a deity. It's a good way to get out of there. And the two girls look around and they see, ooh, our Lord is left. They make peace and they transfer themselves, or transform themselves, into deities also. And so there is Balaji and Sridevi and Bhudevi. Sridevi, of course, is Lakshmi. Bhudevi is Bhumi. And also Maya Sita, expansion of Lakshmi. So these are all different pastimes. Anyway, so that's how Balaji got there. And he's worshipped with so much opulence. The pillars are covered with real gold, 24 karat gold. And there is so much opulence in the top of the hill there. Amazing. People wait for days to take darshan of the deities. I'm very fortunate. When I go there, they know me. And so they bring me in immediately to see the deities. In fact, I had one interesting encounter. I was brought in immediately to see the deities. A special darshan when basically no one else was there. A special, more than a VIP darshan. Darshan means to see the deities. So I was brought in to see Balaji, and I was taking darshan of Balaji, and I said, thank you very much, let me go. So I walked away. I was about 100 feet away, maybe 200 feet away from the altar, on my way back to go back to the temple. The temple is at the bottom of the hill, so it's quite a distance away. And the pujaris came running. And they said, Balaji wants to see you again. I said, what? What does he want to see me again for? I was thinking, he's very merciful. Because usually when you go to see Balaji, there's so many people, you see him for an instant, and they're pushing to make sure everybody gets an opportunity. You just stand for a second, and they push. There's women to push the women, and men to push the men. Push, come on, move, 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 move. But in this particular case, it was a private darshan, and a second private darshan of Balaji, as they brought me back in to see Balaji. And I was so happy to see Balaji. A second time, Balaji blessed me. He blessed me to always serve His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada, life after life. That was the blessing I got from it. So that's the Balaji temple. Tabeta pashandhigane karila dalana ahobala nisingari kaila darashana. After visiting the temple of Tirumala and Tirupati, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had to subdue some atheists. He then visited the temple of Ahobala Nrsinga. We talked about the Ahobilam temple already. The 9 Nrsingadev deities, the Ugra Stamba, and you climb to the top. Remember? That's what we talked to. The Ahobila temple is situated at Dakshinacha in the district of Karnula, within the subdivision of Saravela. Throughout this whole district, this very famous temple is very much appreciated by the people. There are 8 other temples also. In other words, 8 in addition to the other one, that's 9. And all of them together are called the Nava Nrsimha temples. That means the 9 Nrsimha temples. There's much wonderful architecture and artistic engraving work in these temples. However, as stated in the local gazette, the Karnala manual, the work is not complete. Very old carvings there. I wish I had the pictures to show you. I do have the pictures, but I just can't locate them on my computer right now. Wow. Maybe I can. Hold on a second. I think I just... Whoops. This is just the... Oh, no, I'm just located the narration, not the pictures. But I do have a whole slideshow of this, and I really would like to show it. Maybe tomorrow night we can show it to you all somehow or other. Yeah, I know I have it somewhere. Just give me 1 second. There's only one other place I might have it. It's such a really ecstatic thing. I mean, really hankering to show it to everybody. No. Maybe on the PowerPoint presentations. Give me 1 second. Nope, can't find it. Sorry about that. I will try to find it by tomorrow evening to show to everybody. How about that? Okay, so let's see, Nava Nrsimha temples. Oh yeah, one thing I want to mention about this temple in Ahobalam, even the pillars are like deities there. The pillars have carvings on them of Lord Nrsingadev's pastimes. Each pillar is a relief carving of Lord Nrsingadev's pastimes. Each pillar is worth millions and millions and millions of dollars. It's an amazing place. Amazing place. You have to go there. I mean, one day we'll take people there when I'm old enough to do it. Okay, next one is Shiranga Kshetra Aila Kaveri Ratira Shiranga Dekiya Preme Aila Hastira. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to the land of Shiranga Kshetra, on the bank of the Kaveri, he visited the temple of Shri Ranganath, and there was overwhelmed in the ecstasy of love of God. And of course, that's Sri Rangam. And we've been there too. And in that temple, there's a beautiful, big deity of Lord Ranganath. And it's situated like it's like an island, but it's really connected by a land bridge, which is more like an isthmus rather than an island. But it's an amazing place, and we'd love to show you the pictures of that. And tomorrow night, I will try my best to do that. Srimala, of course, Srirangam, we'll describe that tomorrow night. Srimala Bhatera Gare Kaila Prabhu Vasa Tahani Rahila Prabhu Varshak Chari Masa. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lived at the house of Srimala Bhatta for the 4 months in the rainy season. Shri Vaishnava Srimala Bhatta Parama Pandita Gaushanira Panditya Preme Haila Vismita. Sri Malabhata was both a member of the Sri Vaishnava community and a learned scholar. Therefore, when he saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was both a great scholar and a great devotee of the Lord, he was very much astonished. Chaturmascha Tana Prabhu Shivash Vaishnavera Gonaila Nrityagita Krishna Sankirtane. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu passed the Chaturmasha months with the Sri Vaishnavas singing, chanting the holy name, and dancing. Now, I think I should mention something about this, because during that period of time, he met with this particular individual and Venkatabhata, and Venkatabhata's son, who was Gopal Bhatta, was a little boy. And that Gopal Bhatta later on became Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and during this particular time, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had an amazing discussion with Srimala Bhatta and Venkata Bhatta about the difference between Gaudiya Vaishnavism and the Sri Vaishnava understanding. Of course, the Sri Vaishnavas have as their acharya Sripad Ramanujacharya, whose samadhi is there in Srirangam. Not only is his samadhi there, it's a very interesting story about when he passed away, he actually breathed his energy into a deity. He installed his own deity, and he said, from now on, my potency will be there in the deity. And then he sat down and he closed his eyes and he left this material world. Wow. He left this material world. And when he left this material world, guess what happened? His disciples preserved his body. They wrapped it with some cloth, with some medication or some, whatever was in the cloth, I don't really know. And Sripad Ramanuja's body, and Ramanujacharya is actually considered to be an incarnation of who? Lakshman, the brother of Lord Ramchandra. And Sripad Ramanuja's body is preserved, and the body is sitting there, or he's sitting there, his transcendental form is sitting there, to this day, behind the deity that he installed of himself in Srirangam. It is an amazing place. There's also a place in Srirangam called the Hall of 1,000 Pillars, in which the Pandavas actually spent some time while they were visiting there, when they were in exile. They went to Srirangam at a particular juncture. Very, very, very ancient, beautiful temple, and one day you should all visit there. And as described in the next verse, Lord Chaitanya stayed there during the 4 months of the Chaturmasha, which I'm going to tell you about in a second. Wait a second, let me tell you, I got more to tell you about Srirangam, and perhaps tomorrow we'll show you the pictures about Srirangam. So when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in Srirangam, he was feeling so much separation from Lord Jagannath. And there were no deities of Lord Jagannath in Srirangam, because Lord Jagannath's worshipped in Jagannath Puri, and so in Srirangam in South India, different sampradaya, etc., like that. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, with his own hands, fashioned a deity, or 3 deities, of Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra, and he worshipped those deities. And if one goes to Srirangam today, and I am not sure if those deities are still there. I mean, when I went, they were there. You'll see those 3 deities that were personally fashioned by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And these deities are in the opposite side of the road of Venkatabhata's house, from Venkatabhata's house, where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu resided during the 4 months of the rainy season. During the 4 months of the rainy season, the sannyasis don't travel for obvious reasons, because it's raining too much. In those days, there weren't like paved roads or anything like that. It was impossible to travel, and the sannyasis would perform special austerities during the Chaturmasha period. And we've previously talked about some of the austerities, like only eating once a day unspiced food, eating like a duck. That means tying your hands behind your back and going to the ground, not shaving, not cutting your nails. But nowadays we don't have to do that, and we don't do that because our main austerity is Krishna Nam Sankirtan. Kali Kalera Dhamma Krishna Nama Sankirtan Krishna Shakti Vananahi Tari Pravartana. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed there for 4 months, and there's the deity of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu right in front of his deities that he carved. And we visited those places when we were in Srirangam. So perhaps tomorrow we could show some of these pictures, which will be enlivening for the devotees. Okay, so on that happy if Sripad Ramanujacharya was Lakshman, who is Vishnu Tattva, how could his body be preserved? That's a very interesting question. Sometimes the Lord, when he leaves this world, he actually manifests a copy utilizing the three modes of material nature, or the Panchamahabhuta, of his body, so people can worship. But is still sitting there today, and the nails are growing, and the hair is still growing on his transcendental body. It's amazing. It's amazing. You really have to go there and see this temple. And they're always chanting. What are they always chanting there? Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Narayanaya. That mantra was taught to Sripad Ramanujacharya by his spiritual master, and his spiritual master told him, do not reveal this mantra, it is very secret, anyone who chants it will become liberated, so keep it secret. First thing he did, when he got the mantra, he went to the tallest building in the city, and he yelled out, anybody who wants to get liberated, listen to this mantra and take initiation. Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Narayanaya. Everyone did it. The guru came out and said, you've committed an offense, you're going to hell. And Ramanujacharya said, it's worth it. Am I going to hell to save all these people? And then the guru, yes, Goshti Purna, the guru said to him, you are the actual guru and I am your disciple, because you have understood. This is actually a test. Sometimes Krishna tests us like that. He gives us something so wonderful and we don't want to share it. And then we fail the test. But if we have something very wonderful, Krishna consciousness, which is actually beneficial for everybody, if we don't share it, we are acting like creepinos, miserly people. Okay, so on that happy note, let us stop sharing, not the holy names, but let us stop sharing the text and take some questions. Okay, anybody have any questions? You can all ask your questions now. You are unmuted. 1, 2, 3, 4. Anybody have any questions? No. I do not see any questions.
I can ask a question if it entertains you.
Okay.
So the devotees, it's offensive to look at the spots of whatever so-called faults might be there on a devotee. But the question is, does a pure devotee still have spots that people could be looking at?
No. Pure devotee, he may it's like the Ganges. Actually, in the Upadeshamrita describes this like the Ganges may appear to have bubbles, but those bubbles are not considered impure. Although normally bubbles are considered as an impurity in water, unless you get fancy water from France that has bubbles in it. Bubbly water. Anyway, so a pure devotee may apparently manifest some faults. Of course, he's not Vishnu Tattva. Doesn't have the same perfection that Krishna has. So we can't expect that type of perfection. But the faults, the so-called faults a pure devotee manifests, are not actually faults. They're not deviations from his determination to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They are just manifestations that he's a jiva soul and not perfect in the same sense that Krishna is perfect. Sometimes people think that if someone is a pure devotee, he must have the same perfection Krishna has, which is what? Knowing everything past, present, and future. But he doesn't. He's not omniscient. Just like sometimes people would go to Prabhupada and say, Prabhupada, look what was happening. Didn't you know this was happening? In the Gurukulas or something like that. And they'll ascribe fault to Prabhupada because he didn't know what was happening. But Prabhupada's not Vishnu. So when you look at a pure devotee, in that way you may consider he has faults because he doesn't have the same perfection that God has. So when we talk about mistakes, the pure devotee, whatever he does is to serve Krishna, but it's not that if he's driving a car, he's going to make the right turn every time he takes a turn in the car. You understand? So he may, I don't want to use the word mistake, but he may make some strategic, whatever, I don't want to say mistakes, strategic things that don't work out, okay? For some reason or other. Yeah, he may do that. He may be trying different things, don't work out. Like Prabhupada went to Jhansi, didn't work out. Prabhupada tried to make his wife Krishna conscious, didn't work out. So you may say that was a fault. It's not a fault. It's not a fault. Or a pure devotee may get sick, and you may say, "Oh, how can he get sick?" But it's all Krishna's arrangement. In any case, a pure devotee is generally a jiva soul who is serving Krishna 100%, dedicated, like that. But and any time a pure devotee is speaking from Shastra, that can be considered perfect. But if he's speaking about something relative in the relative world, then it may be something that's not perfect. If a pure devotee says, for example, Prabhupada said that comparing men and women, they have a certain amount of brain substance. I'm not going to get into the controversy right now. That because Prabhupada heard it from his professor Urquhart, who was a Scottish professor, Scottish professor, because Prabhupada went to Scottish Churches College, or whatever it is. So, you have to understand what is the pure devotee's perfection. His perfection is that he's wholly and solely dedicated to the service of his guru and the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and Radha and Krishna. And certain things may not be revealed to him. Like you have certain acharyas who the pastimes of Radha and Krishna were not revealed to, but their acharyas are devotees of Lord Vishnu or other incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So pure devotee is not omniscient, and what you think as imperfections are due to his simply being a servant of the Lord within this material world rather than God. Does that answer the question? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for the question. So, here's some more questions. Are personal realizations which come from Krishna worthy to be shared? Yeah. I wouldn't share them on Facebook, though. Like I had a personal realization that I've come from Brahmaloka. I have a personal realization that I'm a servant of... Anyway, I'm not going to get into it. Wait. Stop right there. Anyway. Generally, these things are kept secret, or you share them with others who are very intimate, more advanced than you are. You certainly don't share it with devotees who are less advanced, because sometimes they may criticize, sometimes they may become bewildered, sometimes it may encourage them to accept things cheaply. You have to be very careful, especially on Facebook. I just realized. Of course, if you're going to share things on Facebook, you could share innocent things like, I just cooked the best banana pie I ever cooked. Like most of the ladies, they put this up, Isn't that a delicious quinoa or something like that? That you can share. I have a personal realization. Krishna really liked to eat my quinoa tonight. So everything else, keep pretty secret. Praneshra, oh, it's so good to see you. You're so happy.
Yes,
You look
Gurudev.
very, you look very healthy, as they say in India. I
Yeah,
won't tell
but
you what. How are you?
I'm fine, Gurudev. Fine. Oh,
You didn't get sick from the COVID?
no, Gurudev. But now it's increasing very fast in India. Every day, 2 lakhs people get infected, and so much difficulty.
Are they going to close? Are they going to close down Delhi and other places or what?
They have restriction. Night curfew is in India, like almost all the city, and they didn't shut down everything, but it's running.
So it's pretty bad.
Yes.
Are they giving vaccinations to everybody?
No, those who are age above 45 years.
45.
Yes.
45 and above. Have you been to Govardhan recently?
Yes, Gurudev.
What does it look like? Is it nice?
Yes.
Okay, I want to go to Govardhan too. But you have to be an Indian citizen to visit India, so you have to adopt me. Now that you're married, you can adopt me as your son. Yeah, and then I can go to India anytime. All right, good to see you. All right,
Yes.
so who else has a question? Do you have a question? No?
Gurudev, my question is, what is the mood when one visit to South India, like especially Sri Rangam temple?
What is the mood? When I go to Sri Rangam, I get into the mood of awe and reverence. Every holy place has a specific mood for those who visit the holy places. In Vrindavan, there's the mood of intimacy. It's called Madhurya Dham, right? Sweet Dham. It's very sweet. It's like cooked. Vrindavan, especially Govardhan, is like when you cook down sugarcane juice and it becomes like syrup. And Mayapur is Odarya Dham, which means very merciful. You understand? So there you get a lot of mercy. And you go to Sri Rangam, that's Vaikuntha Dham. You understand? Vaikuntha? Vaikuntha Dham. You feel like you're in Vaikuntha. They even have a place in Sri Rangam. I don't know if any of you remember. It's called the Vaikuntha Dwara. The doors to Vaikuntha. Does anyone remember that? I think Mayapur was with us. I don't know if anybody else online was with us. Sumuk maybe remembers it. Vaikuntha Dwara. The doors
Yes,
to
Gurudev. Yes,
yeah.
Gurudev, I remember.
Oh yeah, Sudhamrat was there with us too. And
Yes.
so once a year they open up the doors, but we I was just in front of the doors. So I didn't want to go to Vaikuntha, I just wanted to go back to Godhead. Yes, the door opens on Vaikuntha Kadasi. That's right. So they said, we'll open it especially for you, Maharaj. And they said, no, I'm not interested in going to Vaikuntha. I want to go to Goloka Vrindavan. So, anyway, so who else has a question? If there's no other questions, just one more question tonight, and otherwise we'll end. No other questions?
Well,
Oh, Haribo! Raja Lila, do you have a question?
yeah. I was it's like we hear the answer all the time, but I was meditating on just like based on location, if the real us is in our hearts, and so is Krishna, our soul, Krishna, Paramatma are both in our hearts, then what's like keeping those two from meeting. I think of the bird analogy and like one's looking away, but we're obviously trying to look towards Krishna right now with this. I mean, we're trying.
Yeah, we're trying, but there's a lot of other interesting things on the other side. Like we say, oh, I'd like to look at Krishna, but wow, there's this nice Tesla on the other side, and nice money on the other side. Oh, and there's nice food to eat on the other side. And this nice, if you're young, it's a nice boy or a girl, or on the other side.
Bewildering that if they're right there.
That's right. It's right there. And we're just because there's other things that are so attractive to us that we don't understand that Krishna is the source of all attraction. He's the source of all pleasure. So that's why we're just like Krishna Badhira Mukha is the actual expression. We've turned our face away from Krishna. And so even though we're told, look at Krishna. So nice what we're seeing in this world. It's our stubbornness. That's very unfortunate. What's that?
The soul is like pure though, right? It's
Yes,
pure.
it's pure, but it hasn't taken a bath in a long time.
That stays on your soul.
We had all this garbage on our soul. That's called the subtle body. We talked about that in our discussion last night about gloves and everything like that and coverings.
Yeah.
And the coverings.
I don't get how if like the real soul's in the heart and so is Krishna, then I don't get how the coverings could also be there in the heart, but I also do get that.
Yeah, it's because we want the coverings. It's like one person was asked, or a king asked a sage one time, why is Maya so strong, or why these coverings are so strong? And the sage, instead of verbalizing, he ran up to a pillar and grabbed the pillar and said, let me go, let me go, let me go. So the moral of the story is that we are grabbing on to anything but Krishna. We're grabbing onto this illusory world. It's like looking in a mirror. Yeah, here we're fixated on the mirror and attracted by what's in the mirror. Whereas in reality, what's on the real side of the mirror is what's really attractive. Nice questions. All right, we got to end now. It is time. Thank you all for joining us. Maybe tomorrow, if I can find these pictures, we can show the pictures during tomorrow's class, which would be nice, of the South Indian tour. Because we have some really nice pictures of our visit to Srirangam, Tirupati, Ahobalam, Mangogiri, Singhachalam, Puri, and all these other places. I think tomorrow night would be an ideal time to show it to all of you. Okay, all glories to His divine grace. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada.